Carolyn Kelly Chaplain, te Maclaurin Chapel, para karakia, te whare wānanga o Tamaki Makaurau. A very warm welcome to you all, and well done you for coming in on a bright and early autumn morning. It's fabulous to have you here and to gather together to share these deep things and to think along, to think about the mind, to think, to engage with ideas, to be challenged and to be blessed. I was thinking a little bit this week about why we do this and why things like a chaplaincy at a university, why an organisation such as Christians in Science, why teaching, why thinking and reading and reflecting. It's certainly been an important part of the Christian tradition. And I've just started reading this book by Samuel Wells, who was the chaplain at Duke University in North Carolina for a number of years before he's now in London at St Martin's in the Fields. And he's written a lot about incarnational mission and what does it mean to be ministering or thinking or acting as a Christian in an institution such as a university or other such like. And he has talked a little bit about why chaplaincy, why thinking in a place like a university. And he writes in one section, when I became Dean of Duke Chapel, I was aware of two kinds of expectations. One was about an unmoded style of ministry, that I would be fervently trying to drag Duke back to an earlier era of Protestant cultural dominance. And certainly in my work here at the University of Auckland, I've spoken with other chaplains and other church ministers, that's a constant expectation that we can somehow, with enough energy and creativity, revitalise something that was once culturally and intellectually dominant. But there's another form of pressure, and that Samuel Wells writes about a strident form of mission, that I would become a self-styled champion of minority causes, often in a spirit of working for others, much as many chaplains were during the heyday of the 60s. And he writes that what he tried to do instead was to help Duke become a model of what America in general, and its universities in particular, might seek to become. That is, a place where it was assumed that everyone needed faith to live each day. And what was interesting about meeting people different in some respect from oneself was not getting cross about what they didn't believe, but becoming intrigued and fascinated by what they did. A place where it was clear how respectfully and generously faith enriched and broadened and deepened the life of the intellect. And where it was equally obvious how the life of the intellect challenged, refined, and in the end strengthened faith. I affirm Samuel Wells's work. The life of the intellect is essential to enrich and challenge and enliven our faith, but so too are the words and the thoughts and the deep richness of our faith tradition, and other traditions too, which is why we've invited Dr. Zane Ali to share with us this afternoon. So I do welcome you warmly here. It's going to be a great day. It's fantastic to be gathering, and I want to in advance thank all the speakers and contributors for your preparation and for honouring us with your presence and your words. But to all of you, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. And let me just, before I hand over to Nicola, I want to finish with a word of prayer. And I'm going to read some words from George MacLeod, from my own tradition, the Scottish Presbyterian tradition, and then finishing a blessing and now. So let us pray. Invisible we see you, Christ beneath us. With earthly eyes we see beneath us stones and dust and dross, fit subjects for the analyst's table. But with the eye of faith we know you uphold, and in you all things consist and hang together. The very atom is light energy, the grass is vibrant and the rocks pulsate. All is in turn, in flux. Turn but a stone and an angel moves. Āmene. Kia hare tahi tātou, ko ihu karaiti te maramatanga, te matapuna o te ora. Amen. Christ is our light, the joy of our salvation.
you very much, Carolyn, and a very warm welcome from me too. I'm Nicola Hoggard-Creegan, and I've had email contact with most of you in the last few weeks. I'm one of the directors of NZCIS along with Dr. Graham Finley, and we're now in our second year. And I would encourage you all to check out our website and contribute to our blog and join us. We're looking for an inner core of committed members as we think about extending beyond our first 3 years. This seminar was suggested by the young watchers of the dark net, where atheists and their sympathisers lurk. Zachary Arden knew that Dawkins was coming long before any of us did, and I think he would have liked a big debate. And he's pretty good at debates, but he's not here. But because faith is a complicated mix of trust and faith and emotion and reason, what Schleiermacher referred to as a sense of absolute dependence, it's also appropriate to have conversations in which we allow the widest possible range of ideas and possibilities. And I hope we have some of that today, as Carolyn mentioned. We certainly do have a diverse group of speakers. Some feedback I have received about the seminar is that this is all old hat, and we've done all these arguments before. Dawkins gets too much attention, they say. Nobody cares about him anymore. I think that's false. His sessions in the following week, where he is speaking with Lloyd Gearing, people, are sold out. A chaplain in Wellington recently told me that for many students, Dawkins' arguments are still very powerful. They take them for granted. Schleiermacher said in the 19th century, "Shall the tangle of history so unravel that Christianity becomes identified with barbarism and science with unbelief?" And I think that day has largely come. It is true that the world of atheism, like that of gender, is shifting and reforming before our eyes. Dawkins, in some way, is a formidable opponent because he admits so much about the world and about the evolutionary process that many of us would see as evidence for God, rather than the opposite. He has, as John Bishop once suggested, his own Eucharistic moments. It is always unnerving when one's opponents seem to come so far and then have exactly the opposite intuitions about the world. So I hope that this day will be part critique, part analysis, and partly a positive vision for why we might believe in a loving God in the world today, in spite of the problem of evil. Theology today engages with and affirms what we call reflective practice. That means that every now and then we should sit down and reflect on how we experience the world, how faith works in practice, and so on. We can understand this day as such an exercise. I have known a number of intelligent and well-read students who have left faith after dipping into theological education. I think they sense the lack of this reflective practice in their churches. So this work of thinking and reflecting honestly is an important work for the church and also an important work for the young. So a special welcome to all the students here. As the psalmist says, "Even when I am old and grey, O God, do not forsake me until I declare your strength to this generation, your power to all who are to come." So a very big welcome to all of you. We welcome your feedback and we'll give you a little form later on in the day. And I would also just remind everybody that there are seats in the front and there are seats on the couches, and you can just take up residence on the couches if you want to. So a very warm welcome, and Graham is going to introduce Peter. Thank you.
Well, again, a very warm welcome, and I hope we have lots of interaction. I think one thing that the late Sam Berry has said, and you might have noticed that Sam Berry, who's long been a wonderful Christian in science, who died very recently, is that the new atheists do give us plenty of scope for raising issues in our daily conversation with the people we work with and the people we rub shoulders with. So hopefully we'll have lots of cause for good quality discussions, and we're going to be wonderfully informed today.